Hello, everyone, and welcome to Elite Full Restore, the Pokemon podcast that updates when I feel like it, more or less. My name is Matt, and today I'm here with Lewis.
Hello. Hi.
Also known as Lutu on YouTube, and then LuTube. I always like that username on Twitter.
I fucking hate it. I really wish that I could I really wish that I could get Lutu, but I think it's some like old lady that has it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no. So I really want it. I'm gonna steal it off of her.
One of these days you'll get it.
Yeah, one of these days.
Sometimes you just have to wait, and then eventually the username becomes free. It's at least like Twitter doesn't seem to be as bad as Tumblr for it. Tumblr, like every time a new Pokemon is revealed, someone has that Pokemon's name as their username.
Oh, it happens on Twitter as well. That's insane.
Yeah, literal seconds, or fractions of seconds. So yeah, I guess the way we'll start out is what's your relationship with Pokemon? What kind of content do you do? Just tell us about yourself to start out.
Well, I'm Lewis. I started playing Pokemon with Pearl in 2009. And I've been addicted ever since. I have a bit of a problem. And currently I talk way too much about Pokemon game design, behind the scenes production, all that kind of stuff on YouTube. I talk a lot about Pokemon. That's just it. About the production, the staff. It takes up a lot of my time, and it's very embarrassing. Yeah.
Basically the same for me, except it's like going all the way back to Red and Blue for myself. I just remember the way I found your Twitter account originally is there's this one account that we mutually follow that basically just yells at Ilka and Game Freak for not having all forms of Pokemon available in Pokemon Home.
I feel like who
Legacy PSK?
That name rings a bell for sure.
Yeah, so that's where I found your account, because I don't know, we have similar bugbears about the way that Game Freak makes decisions. And I guess that's kind of most of what I wanted to have you on today for, is to talk about the upcoming games, which last I recorded an episode, they had just put out the trailers, like the initial trailers for them. So all we knew was what was in that first trailer. There was a lot of speculation around it. And here we are roughly 7 months later, and we have
no new information.
We have slightly more information now. I guess we'll start with Legends, because that's the one that's it's more of a mystery, and also they just had like a weird lore drop yesterday for this one. So one thing that's in Legends that I don't think anyone was really expecting with the initial announcement is the fact that there are a bunch of regional forms in it.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on regional forms in general?
I like regional forms. I think they're cool. I don't think I'm trying to like run through them in my head. I don't think there's a single one that I dislike. But I will say that after like 3 games, the fact that we can make like a whole Pokedex of all of these, it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we have like, 50 if we count regional evolutions. And I think they were fine in Alola. Then Sword and Shield expanded on them by having kind of evolutions, which is like a whole new thing. And then, I think Legends is ideally going to make them like traversal based, but we obviously don't know that for certain yet. And also, will that go out of the window in the next game, and will they just either not be available, or will they not be, or will they not have those traversal abilities in the next game? Who knows, really?
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen after next year.
That's always kind of the issue, right? It's like with Alolan forms, the whole reason behind them is supposed to be like, the geographic and cultural isolation of the Alola region, which is not really something that you can say of England necessarily.
Yeah,
So I
I
always
mean,
thought it was kind of a weird pick.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of boring, isn't it? I mean, see, the thing is, with Galar is like, I don't know. I think despite having some Pokemon that I genuinely hate, like I've never hated a Pokemon design before Gen 8, it also maybe has like the strongest roster of new Mons in a long time for me. And this is coming up as somebody that loves X and Y's designs, Alola's designs. And I think they are like far stronger Pokedexes than say like Gen 5, which is like diluted with a lot of weird shit that you don't get until level 64. But I do think that the Gen 8's like designs are pretty good. I don't think that we needed regional forms, but I appreciate them a lot. Even if they're not like super contextually sound or whatever.
I feel like it was literally just like they saw that they were popular and were like, well, we might as well just do this again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
like,
that, and also they could have just like they added the evolutions onto it. And again, that's like a unique thing for that game. But obviously, since we're doing that like going forward now, I wonder how they're going to evolve the mechanic, at some point.
Yeah, because it's like it really just seemed like a way to get around ever having to do like a quote unquote proper cross-gen evolution ever again, because like I guess the last one of those that we've really gotten was Sylveon, where like the Pokemon is evolving into like the original one is evolving into a new form, as opposed to like a regional version of it evolving into a new form.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish that we just had that back.
Yeah, like, no, I do like those.
I don't see why Farfetch'd could not have just had another evolution. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see why we needed a Galarian Farfetch'd for this. Even though, I mean, I like Galarian Farfetch'd. It's fine. But I don't think that we needed this,
Yeah, and they were notably vague about it at the time too. It was like they showed Sirfetch'd off. They said it was a fighting type. They said it evolved from Farfetch'd. They said nothing about it being a Galarian Farfetch'd, but everyone kind of just assumed.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't need to do that. I mean, they've been weird with it. They've given us like coughing, but then they've also given us Galarian wheezing. They've given us like Pokemon that like they've done all sorts of variations on like the evolution mechanic with it. So I don't know. I think they're fine. With Legends though, or post Legends, I think you're really gonna have to convince me to like make this feel new, because at the end of the day, I would just rather have evolutions to older Pokemon. Like, where's my Love Disc evolution? Where's my you could say this for like every single stage Pokemon at this point, given how power creep works. Yeah, like I don't think I need a Gen 9 form of Love Disc, and also that like begs the question, well, what if we for games like for future remakes, for example, like BDSP or Let's Go Johto or the inevitable Gen 5 remake that they're going to do, like, are those games not going to have regional forms? Well, they feel kind of empty because of that. So I don't know, like that's the thing with Let's Go, is like you had the Alolan forms in there, but they were kind of shoved in there at the last minute. And I don't know.
The only way they were obtainable in that game directly was either from Go or from like single trade NPCs that you could just do unlimited trades with, which I thought was very weird.
Yeah, I mean, the reason for that was because you couldn't breed in that game, which is still so bizarre. I don't fucking understand the reason for that.
Let's Go, as far as design decision seems to like it there's definitely a lot of things that irk me and irk a lot of people about the way they decided to do those games. Like I feel like there was nobody that wasn't irritated playing Fire Red and Leaf Green about the fact that you couldn't evolve things like your Golbat until post game.
Yeah, I mean,
they decided to sidestep that decision by just not putting Crobat in Let's Go.
I mean, I think the decision is fine in a vacuum. I like the idea why Golbat is just the final evolution, like, because that Pokemon is more prominent for maybe a different reason. And I love Crobat. This is not like a personal thing against Crobat or anything else like Electivire. But at the same time, it would feel weird to have Electivire in a game with 151 Pokemon otherwise. It would feel weird to have Magmortar, because Magmar is now this... Like, you've got to consider this in the context of how these games are designed, right? They'd have to fundamentally uproot the design of the games to change this. So, for example, Magmar is a Pokemon that you can get. You get, like, very late on in the game. I know Kanto's pretty open. But you get it at like Cinnabar Mansion, and it's like level 40. If there was like a stronger version of that, then it's like, what even is the point in Magmar anymore? What's the point in putting it so late? And likewise, you could make the same argument about getting Electabuzz like right after the third gym or whatever. And then it's like, well, okay, I mean, you don't even need to be the third gym to get surf, I think, in Let's Go, right? I think you can get it after the second gym. Either way, you get my point. Getting an Electabuzz, or an Electabuzz super early is, it like devalues Electabuzz in a way. So I'm kind of okay with how Let's Go does it. Especially because it was going for like a very unique thing. If they did that with like a main series Pokemon game where it's like you can't get, Sylveon for some reason. Oh, wait, no, they're already doing that with BDSP. Never mind.
They sure are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it seems like they're almost, like, entirely sidestepping that as a possibility with BDSP. Because as far as it looks like they are going to have, like, the exact same route designs with the exact same Mons on them. And, like, even, like, things like Mons that were available in Platinum to help the balance, they're shunting those off to the Underground instead. And I don't even know what, like, the availability is going to be like in the Underground. Like, is it going to be, like... Because it's like they do it with like statues or something in the secret bases.
I have so many fucking thoughts on that shit. I'm so excited for BDSP to come out. Not because I'm gonna rip into these games, but like because they just seem so interesting from a design perspective. Because we've never had anything like them before, and I really, really want to talk about that and all the production behind it.
Whenever I talk about this game, I'm like, I don't think anyone I know should buy these. I'm absolutely going to, but it's for stupid reasons. It's for stupid reasons that I want to pick their brains about the decisions they made in this game. And then also, like, I have a bunch of, like, huge learn set spreadsheets, and I want to update them. I want to see if anything gets new moves. I'm not really holding my breath about it, though.
I mean, mine's like a work expense, so it's fine. I'm chilling.
Yeah. For me, it's like I don't play all that many games, so, like, a new Pokemon game isn't a huge ask.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I can get some more information. I want to know what they're doing.
I have no idea what they're doing, and I've spent nothing but looking at this game for months. So,
yep. So, do you think that they're going to update Sword and Shield to have Pokemon transferable from BDSP?
No.
I don't either. I think that it would be a good idea, mostly because they intend to use it as the competitive game. And, historically, the competitive game has gotten updates if there's also if there's another game in the series. But they kind of upended that with the DLC, right?
I mean, the thing is like, they always just switch to the new game. So nobody was playing X and Y when ORS came out. We would just play ORS. With this, it's weird. I don't think they're going to do it because why would they go back on that? Like, they've shown no reason to do that. They've, not really talked about it, and I feel like that's something they would have talked about by now, but this is like the worst cycle in, Pokemon history, so I have no fucking clue what's going on.
Yeah,
truthfully, we've just been left in the
their
dark.
communication is bizarre.
It's been so bad. It's not even like weird, it's just bad. And I'm tired of people saying that it's like acceptable. Like, I am the first person to be like, I can wait. I'm a very, very patient dude when it comes to games, okay? I waited for a good Ratchet & Clank game for about 11 years. With BDSP, it's like, I feel like when the game is, like less than a month away now, at the time of recording, we should have had one interview with the people making it, I feel like it's a little needed, but whatever, what do I know?
Like, basically all we know staff-wise is it Masuda that's directing it?
Masuda is co-director alongside, I forget the guy's name. I mean, I did some research.
One of the guys from Ilka.
Yeah, hold on, BDSP director. I did Yuichi Ueda. So
okay.
Ueda is very funny because I have done a lot of research into individual people from Ilka, and it's interesting because Yuichi Ueda's last game was like really bad. Hold on.
What was the last game he made?
It was. Let me find it. Yuichi Ueda. Yeah, it was like. Yeah, he was the director on Knight's Contract for the Xbox 360, and it's like it was terrible. The game just sucks.
Oh my god!
The most it got was 6.5 out of 10.
The thing that I found really funny when Ilka was announced, that everyone was just kind of like, who? And one of the first things that everyone found when they started looking into Ilka was the Hatsune Miku Domino's Pizza app.
Yeah, no, they just make weird shit.
Because I guess their main thing is that they love computer art, famously.
Yeah, no, as they constantly remind us with their name. Big fan of computer art.
Oh, I just have the the Cerebi Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl page open, and I'm just looking at the box art right now.
Yeah, don't do that. It's a terrible idea.
Why it look like that?
You know what's funny about that? So I made so many tweets in the run up to like my second to most recent video.
Yeah.
Which goes over like the box art and shit. And I made so many tweets, and it was like, oh great. I really don't like this box art, and I feel like I was pretty nice about it on Twitter, and everyone was like, go fuck yourself. You're such a hater, shitty, awful person. Then I made my video about it, and no one disagreed with me. It's like, I don't know whether that's just Twitter, but it's just like, yeah, you all shut the fuck up when I explained it in more than 280 characters, you know?
I think that people really just have like a compulsion to reply to tweets quickly, whereas like commenting on a video is like you have to like click a link first. You might have to actually watch some of the video. Yeah,
I don't understand anybody that writes YouTube comments, by the way. Like, I appreciate it, but you're all insane. Like, I just can't imagine putting that much time into something that somebody will probably not read. And I do read all my comments, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, me putting a YouTube comment is very rare.
Yeah, it's like, what's it going to do? Nothing. This contributes to nothing.
It's rare enough that I have, like, notifications for replies to my comments on, and it has never once been a problem. Mm-hmm. That is how rare.
Yeah.
Because, well, then you have to have... Someone will have to have replied to a YouTube comment, which I think is even more deranged than making a YouTube comment in the first place.
No, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
Come on. I think the big disappointment with me for the box art is it's just, like... It really seems like Dialga and Palkia were just, like... perfectly set for just getting new forms. It seems like it would have been a nice thing to do.
I mean, I don't think they need them. Like, I've always never really been a fan of, like, giving legendaries new forms because it doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't add anything to the game. It's just something to add to the Pokédex that isn't even part of the Pokédex. It's like a tab on the Pokédex.
A little tab, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, this thing is probably going to be banned from Ubers for some reason. It's not going to be fun to use. Like... I don't know, I was not a fan of the Primals, and I'm still really not a fan of the Primals, both in a gameplay sense, because they just fuck every rule about how Mega Evolution works, and also in a lore sense, because it doesn't change anything. So,
I find it kind of funny, because it's like, when they were introduced, their abilities were like such strong abilities, and then in Gen 5, they're like, yeah, Frog could do this.
Yeah,
so I mean, like it's really a problem they created themselves, whereas they don't really have that problem with these two, because they just gave them pressure. They gave them the whatever the fuck ability that no one cares.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Pressure is like a really cool ability thematically, but it's significantly less cool when every other legendary has it. Thankfully, after Gen 4 or 5, they like stopped.
They stopped hard.
Yeah, no.
Everything gets something now. I feel like, what if they could have given them? They could have given Dialga an auto Trick Room and Palkia an auto Gravity. It would be horrible for everyone involved.
Yeah, why would you want this? It's like this does nothing. And also, the issue with Primals or new forms is that it runs the risk of making the designs uglier. Thankfully, I don't think that's happened with like remakes. I really like the Primals, like visually.
Yeah, they look cool as hell.
Rayquaza is a bit much, but I like it less than the regular one, but it's still okay visually.
Mega Rayquaza is basically like they saw that when they made Gen 6 that people online still liked sprites and wanted to make sprites of everything, and then they said, "Yeah, try to do this, you filthy animals."
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a little busy, but maybe that's because Rayquaza is like perfect. I like the yellow like tendrils, but I don't like the fucking thousands of spikes that it gets. It's just like, why? This is so
one spike that I do like is it's like fucking Atlas beetle horn at the front of its head.
Yeah, I think like, that part is cool.
That thing is fucking cool.
But like, I don't understand like why like it needed to look like this. But whatever. Yeah. It's very inoffensive as a design.
But yeah, no, I understand that as far as like not wanting to busy up the designs a little. It just always seems weird when there's like when you're looking at like the top of the pile of Pokemon, just like stat wise, the spot where I don't really mind the creep is in places like Oopers, because I'm just like, it seems weird that there's all these things that are more powerful than their god Pokemon now. All these things that have like a higher base stat total than Arceus. Mind you, Arceus could easily be getting a form in Legends. Who the fuck knows?
If it does get a form, we're not going to be able to use it in any relevant metagame, so it doesn't even matter.
Right, yeah, because unless they unban it in like VGC for whatever year. If
well, no, because it's not even in the new game. It's not even Sword and Shield.
Fuck.
So you gotta wait until next year. You gotta wait until Gen 9. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Dex cut is very annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying, like conceptually, just to think about.
It's just like currently I'm backing up. So I don't trust Pokemon Home, right? Ever since they started like banning people for having like Wonder Traded fucking hacked mons in there, which obviously you can't control. You know, it was like, what the fuck? So what I did was I immediately took like everything off of Sword and Shield. I backed it up onto my I traded them over to my hacked Nintendo Switch, and then that lets me back up my files onto my computer, and then I have that like backed up onto the cloud. Now all of my Pokemon are like way more safe than they were in Nintendo's hands, especially after Pokemon Bank. I don't trust them. But like
God.
Yeah, so the issue is, so most of my Pokemon are either split between Sword and Shield, or they are just stuck in Home, and I can't do anything with them. And it's like, it's so odd. It's just a weird feeling.
You can't even really back them up, right? Because
no, they are just like stuck there. Now I'm gonna have to wait for BDSP for that to happen. It's like with only the Sinnomons, fuck you're out of luck if you're still Gen 5, 6, or 7. Like fuck that, you know, you're still stuck on there at the end of the day. If you are Crap Roller.
We know that that BDSP are going to have home compatibility, but they haven't actually said if it's going to take imports or if it's going to be like Let's Go.
I think I think how they're going to do it, because it doesn't seem weird from a gameplay perspective. It's not weird enough from like a stat perspective. But I think Legends Arceus is going to be flat transfer over and not back. Yeah. Whereas with Home, I think you'll be able to do back and forth with BDSP. If you can't do that, that would be the first time that like they release a remake and you can't put Pokemon that you got in that game, like in the original games, back into that remake. It's very, very weird if they do that. I mean, Heart Gold as well, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I get it. That was such a cute part of Oras, as you transfer your starter over from your Ruby game, and it gives you a little certificate with the Ruby Sapphire sprite on it. That was so cute.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like what people want to do. Like, I mean, before that wonderful day in February, I thought that I was like going to be able to see my like Empoleon that I got, you know, when I was a kid, because I still have it, just like walking his ass around in like this 3D Sinnoh, but it's not going to happen. You know, at the end of the day, he's going to be regulated to like a sprite that's smaller than or a model that's smaller than my fucking guy. You know, it's going to be weird. It's going to be very, very weird, and that's if it works at all.
Yeah, one thing that was talked about in some of the gameplay previews that like people seem mad about, but don't really seem to discuss the implications of anymore, is the fact that they are apparently doing single-use TMs again.
Oh God!
Do you think are they just going to have the straight TM set from Diamond and Pearl, like just straight up?
No, I don't think so, because then how do you like put Dazzling Gleam on Pokemon? I think they're going to have a new TM set, but it's going to be fucking weird. Like I'm so mad about it. I'm so mad about it. Also, there was only like 50 TMs in Gen. Oh wait, was it?
No, there was 100 in that. Or no, I think it was like 92.
Yeah, it was like 90 something, and then they put it to 100 in Gen 5. I remember because Snarl was like a big deal.
Right, Snarl was 95.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, it was 92, and then they had the 8 HMs. So it added up to 100.
But yeah, no, I think they're gonna have a new selection of TMs, because not having a single fairy TM would be very weird. But
it would be very weird.
Yeah, it's just like, shit, man. Like, why is it single-use TMs? I remember Connor Eats Pants. He like, I was streaming my reaction to all the new gameplay, and I guess he had like woke up and looked in Cerebi and saw all of the changes. He comes into my stream. He's like, Lewis, that like single-use TMs, and I just lost it. I was like, because I was midway through like absorbing all the like the gameplay stuff, and it's like, okay, this kind of sucks. Oh, this kind of looks better. But then when he like just dropped that in my chat, I just fucking lost it. It's like, why would you do this? There's like no argument to be made about this at all. It's so odd.
Yeah, it's like I know that the way that they disperse TMs is a little different since they got the multi-use TMs, because they don't want to give you the really useful moves too early because you have more than one of them. So what it seems like is that they're giving you single-use TMs, and then like in the post game or something, you're going to be able to obtain them more easily. But, like, I liked having the ability to use the TM more than once in the regular gameplay.
I mean,
it seems like they just didn't want to rebalance that aspect of the game in any way.
Yeah, so the problem with this is that it adds a level of tedium, right? So post or pre-Gen 5, you had moves that weren't necessarily very strong, but they kind of ramped up in intensity as the game went on. This didn't change in Gen 5. This only changed in Gen 8 when they added TRs, and I'll get onto that in a second. But with Gen 5, it's like, okay, so now we have all of these moves that are consistently really like okay, and they just like kind of ramp up in or like strength as the game progresses, like with your Pokemon's movesets. I think that's fine. And I think it was in Gen 6 they made the change so in Gen 5 the big thing that they did is like you don't, and nobody really noticed this, is you don't keep the same amount of PP if you use a TM. So if you have a move, right, you have like it has like 15 PP, and then you give it like double team or whatever, which has like 40, I think. It will be at like 15 until you go to heal.
Yes.
And I think that's like a really good way to incentivize people not using it just in the middle of like an area or a route. And I don't think the game was like entirely designed around it, but provided it was, that could be like a legitimate like challenge or like a legitimate, drawback to having infinite use TMs. I think I'm fine with that kind of gameplay sense. TMs and learning moves are inherently like how you think about the game, how you approach the game, how you approach every individual Pokemon. And I think making team building and all like that aspect of the game like way more interesting is a good thing for me. However, what the situation we have with BDFP is like, so it doesn't really. I mean, the issue here is that the games are going to be very easy. Diamond and Pearl, and I will say this for every Pokemon game, Pokemon games have historically been pretty easy. They've gotten easier, but Diamond and Pearl it's pretty easy, right? With
it was
BDS,
tough for me at the time, but I was just not very good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
That's kind of the thing. I was a child.
Yeah, exactly. They are like their difficulty is relative to how old you are. Like I've made videos on this in the past, but it's like Pokemon games were never super difficult, and you are absolutely deluding yourself. Go play any other JRPG, It's like
you'll get your ass handed to you.
Yeah, like these, like I would struggle either the same or more in another JRPG. Like they were relatively easy, both compared to like other contemporaries and your brain space at the time. So factoring in all of that, if Pokemon games were genuinely difficult, I could see single-use TMs being a really cool idea. Because it's like, oh, you have to think more now. You have to be like, well, who do I waste this on? Do I wait until this Pokemon evolves? But here's the thing, right? It's like, I would rather take just being able to experiment with moves. Because the games are easy to begin with. So who really cares? Like, it's not adding any challenge at that point. It's just really tedium. And like, the idea that I can grind for all of these, like, at some point, it's like, that doesn't make it fun, right? Like, it was never fun to go to the game corner and just fucking spend all of my coins to get Ice Beam once. Like, it was never fun. This is not like gameplay. I'm just wasting my time. I could be doing other things.
Yeah, well, that's how it felt with TRs, in that like you really do get so many of them if you interact with the raid mechanic in any way. But then on the flip side, in like the first area of the game before the second badge, you're getting some of the strongest moves in the game.
Well, yeah, like pre-first badge, you can interact with the big new mechanic that game has, and you get rewarded for it by getting really, really good moves. And it's like that you can only use once. And I think that's like that's like the perfect way to handle it. You have the crowd that really, really likes TMs and really likes experimenting with new moves constantly that you get throughout the game. But also, you just have TRs, which are one-use things that you have to think about. And it's like, okay, like you get the best of both worlds. They put a lot of thought into that idea, and it works really well in tandem with raids, even if I don't think raids are like perfect. It's like a really good like gameplay loop. But with this, it's just like you sever that loop immediately, and we're just back to square one for the sake of being faithful. And again, if there was a good reason for it, fair enough, but there isn't. They just want to be faithful for the sake of it, and it's so bad. And it pisses me off because I remember in February when I made that video, or early March, that blew up and everyone was like, oh, faithful only means in like a visual sense, And I'm continually being proven right with shit like this. It's like, it's so fucking stupid.
When they said that, they really said it's like it's gonna be. I think they even said like it's like a tile to tile like perfect match, and it's like nobody really needed that. When they say stuff like that, it's like Game Freak and the Pokemon Company in general. Their communication is just bizarre.
Yeah,
always has been like super bizarre. They don't really seem to. Not to say that like anyone should interact with their fan base when their fan base is like the Pokemon fan base.
I mean, it was fine pre-Gen 6. I think it was a lot better then, and now they just want to do like ever since Gen 6 they've had like a very similar cycle.
Either way, it was always like, one directional communication. Like it really doesn't. It's something that always like that always kind of amazes me when I'm like playing. Like, not to say it's a good game, but when I play Pokemon Masters. Mm-hmm. And there are issues with gameplay in Pokemon Masters, they will put out little communiques that say, here is what people said about the way our gameplay is. Here are some of the suggestions. Here is what we are doing to make the gameplay better.
I mean, that's like a constantly updating like game though. It gets like a new character every week. I think Pokemon is like I think main series Pokemon is not something that you can compare that to because A, it's just not the type of game, and B, Game Freak is currently working on Gen 12, so they are like way too busy with like other things.
God, yeah, they probably are just doing Gen 9 right now, huh?
100%. They've been working on Gen 9 for 2 years. I'm very, very confident that it's going to come out end of next year.
Oh, that's the same thing that Centro said.
Yeah. I mean, I think Gen 9 is going to come out at the end of next year. I mean, I don't see any reason why they would just not release a Pokemon game at the holiday.
I guess that would be right on the 3 years, huh?
It'd be like a really bad move for them. And honestly, if they do something like Let's Go Johto as well, I'd be surprised. But so far, my predictions for Pokemon every single year since Let's Go have been pretty solid. So, like I said, DLC was going to happen. I said that we were going to get Sinnoh this year, and people were like, "Oh no, we're getting Let's Go Johto. It's definitely possible." It's like no. They are going to do Sinnoh this year, and they're going to do Gen 9 next year, because it's always been 3 years, ever since...
Do you think they're going to make Let's Go Johto?
For me, it really depends. It really depends on how busy Kageyama is. If we are getting Let's Go Johto, it won't be next year, because Kageyama, I mean, that guy's a fucking madman. He's working on like 10 games at once, including BDSP, so who knows?
Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I don't know anything about like the Pokemon directors and the people who work on the games other than like sometimes I'll just go look at the list of directors for different games and be like, hey, what's with the guy who did Platinum? Let's get him back. Yeah,
I mean, I see somebody in my comments, it's like a fucking account that only replies to Masuda, so this person is like insane. And yes. They were just like going off in my replies about, and I don't think anybody even brought this up, about like how awful of a person Masuda is and how he wants like the Platinum director to come back, and it's like, okay, what has Kawachi Maru done in the last 13 years? Like, let's look this up. Like, I think I would trust Masuda more with, like, making new games than a guy that has literally not done anything substantial since Platinum. Like, There is a reason why he is not, and here's the thing, you don't have to, like, being substantial and, like, being a director of a new Pokemon game, that's not the same thing, right? Like, what's his name? Kazumasa Iwao, the guy who directed Ultra Sun and Moon. He was like the battle director for Sword and Shield. That's like a pretty notable thing. And I would, again, if we knew the staff for Legends Arceus, that would be great. I would lose my mind if he's directing Legends Arceus, because I think he is easily the best director of Pokemon right now. That is still in the running. I don't think Morimoto is going to be doing anything anytime soon.
No.
But and even then, it's like Morimoto's last directed game is Heart Gold. This was like people change in like 12 years, and at least Masuda has been like releasing games, and I'm able to have like a grasp on how he designs things and how he thinks. Whereas Koichi Maru, I don't think anybody has talked to him outside of Game Freak for about 14 years. So it's like I don't really want him back as the Platinum director, because he could be a completely different person. So it's very, Pokemon fans are very weirdly selective when they choose to care about directors, I think.
Yeah, well, it's such a, like, it's almost like Game Freak almost feels like a black box to a lot of people, I think. Like, because you really have to research to get a good handle on the kind of things that they do. Because, I mean, no one really talks about things publicly.
I mean,
no one's really interviewing these guys.
The thing is that they did, like, so much pre-Gen 6. Like, you can go back to the Heart Gold era, and you will find, like, interviews of Omori back before he directed any Pokemon game, talking about like how he designed the Pokewalker and like why he made the Underground the way he did and shit like that. And you can find those interviews. They are like somewhere, and they're from like 2009. They were very, very open about it. I don't know what changed with X and Y. I don't know. I mean, it's only been the last couple of years that people have really started to give a shit about Pokemon game design, and I thank Sword and Shield for that, genuinely. It's opened up a very big opportunity for me. to just talk
It's a
with
lot of
people
people
about
just
this sort
saying
of thing.
it's a lot of people just saying they hate James Turner for no reason.
Oh yeah, no, James Turner is absolutely the worst thing to happen to the series. In fact, he designed every Pokemon after Gen 5. Known fact. Terrible series.
People give him a lot of shit, but I really like almost everything he's designed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like an opinion on individual Pokemon designers because they like do so much. So it's like, oh, they could have like, what worth is like a good design to a bad design? I don't know.
And well, then there's also just like the fact that people will be like, they'll say like, if they do know like something's a James Turner design, they'll say everything about the design that's bad is James Turner. And it's like, okay, well, like you don't know how collaborative the process is. Like it could be the initial sketches. It could be like, there could be like design input along the way. I do kind of wish we knew more like original Pokemon's creators, because I do think that's just kind of like a fun thing to compare the designs that that different people do.
Yeah, I mean, hold on. There's a guy on Bulbapedia that has like a list of this shit.
There's a few of them. Like there's a lot of mons that people do know, mostly Gen 1 ones.
Yeah, I mean, Gen 1 like gets revealed at like a weird like snail's pace. I mean, with Gen 1, we have like people that have like figured it out now, because what happened with Gen 1 is obviously they designed the sprites. So you could very like, you know, it's not like Sugimori art where Ken Sugimori would draw like 151 of the Pokemon based off of the sprites, and that is like, you know, his interpretation. Like with the sprites, there are like idiosyncrasies about how people would shade each individual Pokemon. How people would like draw eyes, draw ears, that sort of thing in pixel art. And you can pretty easily pinpoint who did what. We have like a group of people that are, you know, very dedicated to that sort of thing. Yeah. But obviously as time has gone on, they have to basically reveal it themselves. And we have like a decent chunk of Sword and Shield done as well, like in that regard. Like we know like what a lot of designs were. I mean, it's like what one... I mean, there's a lot of...
I definitely like to look at some of those sometime.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
I was actually doing something.
Hold on.
I was doing something really similar to that recently. I found there was an old fan game that I worked on in like 2003. So like a bajillion years ago, like pre-Gen 4, there was a fan game I was working on, and I've been doing like archaeology to try to like dig up as much as the old decks as possible. And I was basically doing the same thing. It's like, oh, I can tell by the shading that this one was designed by this person.
Yeah,
because like. I feel like when I see Fake Mon now, it is a lot of people who are drawing first and spriting later. But really, like when people were trying to make their own games back in like Gen 3, everyone was just starting with sprites because it was quicker.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's a fun way to try to figure things out. And I think it makes sense that people did that with red and green and red and blue sprites.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you look at red and blue or Gen 1, like and compare it to like Gen 8, the designs are very, very reserved by comparison. There's a lot of weird shit that happened after Gen 5 because it's like, well, you can't design with the limitations of sprites anymore. And genuinely, that made, I think, Gen 1 and 2 in particular very interesting. Could you imagine? Like, it's not necessarily that design attitudes have changed. It's that the resources available to design these creatures have just become so, useful and so good now that people, you can design a Pokemon digitally without having to consider like the colors that it would need to use or the amount of real estate that it can fit on a screen. You couldn't
the amount of details that you can put in a certain thing.
Yeah, you could not design Ultra Necrozma in 1996 for a Pokemon game. It's just not possible.
Oh god, there are a lot of people who have like a very dedicated community of people who make every Pokemon in Gen 2 style for Pokemon Crystal ROM hacks. And oh boy, are some of them a stretch.
Yeah, no, it's like you have to be like fucking very, very particular.
Yeah, very particular, and also just like have a very good design sense. Like, what things can you shrink? What things can you make bigger? What things can you omit? What things can you kind of angle differently? One of my favorites is there's someone who made they made an Alolan Exeggutor sprite. So they made an Alolan Exeggutor sprite that fits in a 56 by 56 box, which was the maximum size that you could be in gold and silver. And they just had like the base of it in the bottom right corner of the sprite, and then it like the head is in the top left corner, but it's like perspectived forward.
Yeah.
So they kind of like foreshortened the length of the neck, and it looks so good.
Yeah, you just have to be smart about it. And again, I think like those kind of restrictions in any kind of design, just like create some level of It like necessitates, to use your creative muscles, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And I think some people really do, because I know like there's a certain point where I could understand the drive to really, the people who really only like Gen 1 and 2 Pokemon. I can almost understand that just from a point of that they have more like iconicity to them, because they had to design to such limitations that everything had to be, like big. They had to have like 2 colors maximum.
They had to have cat ears for some reason, yeah.
They had to have cat ears and triangle eyes. Everyone loves the triangle eyes. If you want to make something look like a Gen 1 and 2 design, you get those triangle eyes in there.
Yeah, you give it like kind of a stubby body, but it has like a large like spine and it's like curving forward a bit, yeah. That's how you do it.
Don't forget that there are spikes coming out of the spine.
Yeah, for no reason. They just don't serve any purpose.
Yeah.
It's like designing a proto-mega evolution,
God, yeah, no, it really does seem like Mega Evolution was like, hey, let's take some of these design elements and just kind of exaggerate them.
I hate like 90% of Mega Evolution designs. That's so bad.
I understand that, but I really love them. I really love them from a perspective of like, it's just like my inner 10-year-old being like, this is the kind of shit that I would like. I would trace a Pokemon, and then I would just put a bunch
you
of
just like add shit
on
it.
Yeah, and that is exactly what a Mega Evolution looks like, and I really respect that. It really just seems like a 10-year-old's idea of what's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like it's a good thing to put in a game for 10-year-olds.
No, absolutely. They look conventionally cool for a 10-year-old, but as like an adult that looks at these people that designs them, I just like, what were you thinking with this? Like, to me, there are 2 Mega Evolutions that are interesting gameplay wise, have like a good design and were like needed designs, and they needed to exist. And it's like, wow, those are 2 out of what, like 50? I don't know.
Which 2?
Mega Beedrill, Mega Mawile.
I knew Mega Mawile was going to be one of them. And Mega Mawile is like, that's the one that made me think, why can't we just have cross-gen evolutions again?
Yeah, see, that's the thing at the end of the day. Like, why did this need to be a fucking Mega Evolution? I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I think that would have been perfectly fine for Mawile. But then I look at one like Mega Sableye, and I'm like, that's Sableye with a bigger gem. I really like that really seems like it works as a Mega more than it would as an evolution.
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean,
it fills a different role.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think Sableye needed a Mega Evolution. Like, that's like, I think Sableye, especially in Gen 5 with Magic Bounce, like, I don't think it needs a Mega Evolution.
Well, Prankster, because Magic Bounce is its Mega ability.
Oh, yeah, my bad, Prankster. Yeah, I get it mixed up. Either way, it got Mega buffed in Gen 5, and it was like, okay, that was aggravating. But yeah, like, but I would say that, like, the band, I don't know, there's like, if you like name a Mega Evolution, I'll like tell you my thoughts on it.
Yeah, sure. Let me just bring up Mega, Pokemon, Bulbapedia. There are a lot of people who are thinking that they might put Megas into BDSP, but I feel like if they were, they would have announced it by now.
Yeah, we would have seen them by now, like we did with Sun and Moon.
Sun and Moon. Was it relatively close to when they came out, or was it pretty early?
It was pretty close. Actually, no. I think we saw them. I'm gonna look this up now. I feel like it was pretty close.
Megas and Sun and Moon were like, they were kind of just like an afterthought. They really didn't need to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with them being in the game.
Them being there in Sun and Moon just kind of made it weirder when they weren't there the next gen. Although they did put them in Let's Go. That's another thing that was in Let's Go. They had Megas in there. Megas with no abilities.
I think it's very funny that we can have Mega Evolutions in Let's Go, Mega Evolutions in Mystery Dungeon, Mega Evolutions in Go, and Mega Evolutions
Masters.
And in Masters, but they are completely dead because they weren't in Gen 8 for some reason. Okay.
Mega Pinsir.
Yeah, really good. Good, really interesting gameplay with Aerialite. Cool typing, good design, big fan.
Mega Ampharos.
See, Mega Ampharos is like one of the ones that's like, it's got like a fun design, but it didn't really need to exist. It doesn't really do anything with its dragon type. It just gets Dragon Pulse's stab. And it's like, it doesn't do anything gameplay-wise. It wasn't really needed, because why did Ampharos like need a buff in the context of anything? Like, it really doesn't.
I feel like it was... Yeah. There are some that are needs a buff, and there are some that were fan favorites. We're just going to give it to it anyway. Like, Mega Scizor,
I
for
think
example.
That's fine.
What does Mega Scizor do?
Yeah, Mega Scizor literally adds nothing to the game. And it's also pretty ugly. So I just don't get it.
It's just the same thing.
Yeah.
It does the same thing. Like, the Mega Blaziken's the same way. Same ability.
Yeah, Mega Blaziken I just have, like, no opinion on, I think. I hated it when I played Comp XY, but that's really it. I think it's interesting because there are Pokemon that, like, there are a select few Mega Evolutions that actively make the original design worse. So, it's like, oh, God. Like Mega Sharpedo is one, Mega Mewtwo Y, Mega Heracross, Mega Lucario, Mega Manectric. Those are all designs that were, like, really good before, with the exception of Lucario. And, you know, they were all just, like, ruined. I don't know what the fuck the idea behind any of these was. It's, like, they're gross.
Yeah. Mega Banette. Mega Banette's one I really like. I like the zippers open and there's just, like, tendrils coming out of it.
Mega Bayonet is fine. I don't have an opinion on it, honestly. I just don't have any take on it.
And then, one personal favorite that I know a lot of people hate is Mega Manectric.
Yeah, no, it looks so ugly. It's so ugly.
It looks like you could just knock it over.
Yeah, no, it's like, if this thing falls over, it's fucked. It's like, what does it do? But, like, it sucks because Manectric was, like, such a unique design for an electric type back in the day. It was, like, blue with, like, a hint of yellow, and I think that's really cool. It wasn't, like, most electric types back then were basically just fucking glowing at that point. Yeah, and it's, like, you know, it's
he's
also
fairly
like
yellow because he has a lot of fur on him, but yeah, no, like, his skin being blue was very interesting.
Yeah, and it's
and
also
him
like
having a more animal basis when a lot of electric types that weren't Pikachu didn't really.
Yeah, it's just like a dog. And it's like, wow, that's kind of cool. Big fan.
Big fan. So yeah, like, you're getting them for content. Do you think you're going to enjoy BDSP?
It can't be worse than Diamond and Pearl, right? Like, that's what I've been thinking. Like, surely it can't be worse than Diamond and Pearl. But I've been subsequently proven right and wrong in this entire fucking game. So
yeah. I haven't actually replayed Diamond and Pearl since the first time I played them, because I, as a child, found them to be a bit of a slog. Mm-hmm. But I did replay. I played Platinum for the first time last year, when I was just making a living dex because I was bored. Because that's what quarantine does to you sometimes, when I wasn't able to work.
Yeah, trust me, I know the feeling.
Yeah, and I found Platinum was, like, an improvement in a lot of areas, in, like, gameplay flow, in Mon distribution, and I do think that it's kind of a disappointment that they don't seem to be doing a lot of it in the new game.
It's just, it makes no sense to me. It actually just makes zero sense to me whatsoever.
Well, yeah, because it's like, all you can say about the way that Heart Gold and Soul Silver were, how they, but, like, one thing that people universally seem to like about it is that it includes stuff from Crystal. Mm-hmm. And it just seemed weird that Oras didn't do it, and people didn't like that Oras didn't do it. And then
did it really include stuff from Crystal? Like, I'm not trying to make you forget about Yusin and Suicune, but, like, here's the thing, right? Crystal is so much more than Yusin and Suicune, but they were, like, things that were kind of baked into the games over time. The actual, like, big thing that is still missing from Heart Gold to this day, were the encounter tables. So in Gen 2, you know, you had Gold and Silver, and then you had Crystal, which is like, you can get a Teddiursa before the first gym, you can get like a Fanfi before the first gym.
Yeah, they
like,
put them in Dark Cave, right?
Yeah, no, like you can get Fanfi on the route above the first one in Gold and Silver, and it's like, wow, that's really cool. Unfortunately, Heart Gold and Soul Silver just backported all of those, or they didn't backport any of them. And it's
they just grabbed the Gold and Silver ones?
Yeah, and it's like, well, that's weird. Why would you do this? I just don't understand. Yeah,
because the one thing I can think of with, because really the only things that were missing from Crystal, I did a living dex run of Crystal 2, obviously. So I had to think of, like, what's not there, and it wasn't very much. I think it was, like, Remarade's not available in Crystal, and, like, one other guy. And otherwise, like, the encounter tables is, like, the Gold and Silver ones merged.
Yeah, no, and they're just better. They just have more shit in them. So, I don't know. It's it's just weird that, you know, people forget about that with Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Because
I totally did.
It's like 100%. It's like a very big problem with those games. There's like a lack of Pokemon diversity, of like good Pokemon diversity until like the end game. And at that point, do you really want to get a new Pokemon after the 8th gym badge in Heart Gold and Soul Silver? No.
Or like after the 16th.
It will have no EVs.
Because that's still the only place you can get Larvitar.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting. I don't know if it's good, though.
No. And then Legends. How are you feeling about Legends?
I'm, like, weirdly optimistic about it. I think, okay, my take on both of these games, BDSP and Legends look visually the same level of awful, but for different reasons. BDSP is this, like, really ugly, like, plastic piece of shit, and Legends is, like, this really undercooked, like, this game could look so much better. But at the same time, Legends is, like, trying something new, and I'm excited for that. It's, like, you know, I like, trust the people behind it more, because I know what Ilka has done, which is, like, basically nothing. You know, with Game Freak, at least I can have hope that, you know, the person that's directing it is, like, competent or whatever. But I don't know who's directing it, because they haven't told me, and that's very worrying. Like, I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't really have any opinion on Legends, I think, just in general. It's, like, very hard for me to form an opinion, because I don't know anything about it.
We don't know exactly what the gameplay loop's going to be like.
Yeah, no, and at least with BDSP, it's, like, I could get, like, angry at it. With Legends, it's, like, I don't really have an opinion. It's, like, very hard for me to form something on that game, because I just don't know enough about it. And at the end of the day, like, I don't know, could be fun. With BDSP, it's like, I just feel kind of hollow.
I'm interested to see what they're doing with the battle formula in Legends. Because, like, I remember someone pointed out that you can see a Drift Blim in the PC, and its HP stat is, like, completely out of whack where it should be at that level. So it's possible that they're using, like, different stat calculation formulas. There's the thing with the battle styles where you can do the agile style or the strong style to, like, use extra attacks and stuff like that. It's still turn-based, right? Like, it's like the actual battles themselves are still turn-based, but I'm interested to see how they're gonna, like, shake up the battle mechanics a little bit, and what if anything they're gonna bring forward with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how to feel because I haven't played it. It's, like, so out there for me as a Pokemon game. Like, I don't really have any opinion. I'm just kind of waiting to play it. With BDSP, it's like these two games are, like, inherently paired together. But it's like one game is, like, I have my opinion pretty dead set on, like, more than I have any other Pokemon game before its release, and the other one is, like, I don't know anything about. And the marketing for both has just been absolutely abysmal. You know, it's like, to this day we have not talked to the staff behind either of these games, and it's like, why? Like, I don't even know who's working on one of them. I don't know anything about the other one. It's like, God, it's so frustrating. And I don't know if it's, like, a personal thing with me, but, like, I like to have faith in things, you know? I like to, you know, I'm typically, like, very optimistic, but BDSP is, like, you know, like, Legends Arceus is worrying, BDSP is just, like, doomed.
I like to have information. I like to have information so that I can form an opinion with something other than, like, speculation and hearsay. Not to say that I don't like speculation and hearsay, because, like, I'm a Pokemon fan. Of course I fucking love speculation.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with that is, like, whenever I've, like, said anything about BDSP and people are like, oh, well, it could change. And it's like, no, I know how this industry works. And then it doesn't change. And, you know, I'm right. And it's like, it's kind of validating in a way, but as well, it's, like, really fucking annoying to have the same conversation. I'd rather the developers just come out and talk about this game so I can, you know, talk about the information rather than having to be like, well, they're like, oh, well, do you know this is true? And it's like, well, yeah, but no, because they haven't said it. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. And it's like, I don't know. It's been, like, a very toxic cycle in general.
They'll reply to your old tweet when new information comes out and be like, see, you were wrong. And it's like, well, yeah, that's fucking how speculation works, man.
Yeah, I mean, I said in my, like, one of my new videos, it was like, I would be so happy if I was proven wrong. And in, like, a couple of aspects, I was. And I was like, holy shit, I'm so happy that I was proven wrong. And everyone was like, everything you've ever said is invalid. And it's like, it's so boring. Like, what is wrong with you? You know, I was like, I mean, this just goes into, like, fandom discourse and online toxicity, but it's just, like, people are way too angry. Like, and I say this is somebody that has, like, been pretty negative on BDSP so far. I've been pretty hard on it.
Yeah. I've been pretty hard on it, but, like, it's like, I'm gonna play it, and I feel like to a certain level, I will probably enjoy it. I feel like when it comes to, like, a new Pokemon game, there's just a certain level of the formula that, no matter how stale it is something that, like, my monkey brain likes. I'm just like, there's something about the Pokemon, but the fact that the Pokemon game loop as it is, having changed, like, in marginal but not major ways over the course of 20 years, can still, like, you know, light up the pleasure centers in the brain a little bit, just kind of speaks to their overall power. I do wish that they would coast on that a little less, and I guess that's what Legends is. So
Yeah,
I'm really hoping that they deliver something with that can, you know, light up the brain in new ways, perhaps.
Yeah, and then
I like
the next game, they go back to it and they only add like a couple of things from Legends, and then, you know, we have to wait until 2023, and it's like, oh, all right, fuck.
God, which is like just briefly getting back to original forms, just since like we didn't really mention any of the new ones. They look pretty cool. I like the evolutions rather.
I mean,
I really
for
like
me, like the only one that I really like care about is Cleaver. Like, hold on,
yeah.
What? Hisuian, like
there's Cleaver, there's the Braviary, which I don't feel either strongly or negatively about. Really, I really like Basque Legion. I like conceptually a fish surrounded by dead fish ghosts.
Yeah, Basque Legion is the only one that I care about. Also, when I like look up Hisuian forms, just put all of the fucking evolutions there as well, okay? Why would I not want to see the evolutions in this list? What is wrong with these websites?
I mean, the thing about Pokemon, trying to look up anything Pokemon right now is that there are like an army of like 150 just spam blogs that SEO optimize.
Yeah.
So, like, I have to just end every single search with, like, Cerebi, Bulbapedia, to make sure that I'm getting something that's at least coherent.
Yeah, I don't know. And
which is, like,
given
so
the layouts of those websites, you know, you're going to have a hard fucking time as well. But, like, let me...
yeah.
Like, I can't read shit on either of those websites for different reasons. Yeah. But yeah, the only one that I like is Basque Legion. Okay. I like Cleaver as well, but I think it's going to be less interesting as a concept.
Yeah.
Weirdia is... boring. Hisuian Bravery, I have no opinion on. Hisuian Growlithe is so fucking ugly. Like, the design is good, but the model in game is really, really bad.
Yeah, I really like the way the art looks, because the art looks fluffy, but the design doesn't really look like that.
I mean, the thing with game. Legends is, like, it uses, like, multiple different shaders at the same time, which it should not be using at the same time. And it's very odd. The model looks... shiny, and it shouldn't. Everything is like glowing. I'm interested to see
how the art will develop in that game. Like, 'cause it's like, I'm sure that they can. I'm sure that there's going to be, like, you know, touches. Gameplay is not final, circled in a red pan, but I mean, it seems like a certain level of their art design is already decided. And the art design is kind of the issue.
Yeah, I mean, the direction of the game is fine. It's just. I mean, my issue, or I guess like less of an issue, is like with things like that, I can fix it myself. You know, I can go out, I can mod new textures in. I'm competent enough to do that myself, and then share that with other people.
You're making me really want to mod my Switch, which I have not done yet.
I get a backup tablet, and do it. Yeah. I would not. I cannot, in good faith, be like, do this because I don't want you to get like banned from online or whatever.
Well, yeah, I'd definitely do it on a Switch that I don't intend to bring online, and would probably, I would probably only do it if I like were to get an OLED or something.
Yeah, no,
then do it on my old one.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do it on the OLED anyway because it's a hardware thing. It's not a software.
Because they have a new chip, right?
Yeah, ever since 2019, middle of 2019.
The newer Switches.
Yeah, every Switch before that should be fine. There's like, you can like look up your serial code online. It's very easy.
Yeah, there's a whole thing.
It's like surprisingly easy to do, by the way. Like
This is a podcast that advocates for hacking all your Nintendo devices.
Absolutely, unless you live in Japan, because then it's illegal, so I can't do that. I can't advocate that you do that. But
can't advocate you do it there, okay.
For all of the non-Japanese listeners, go for it, you know. But it's just like, it's like surprisingly easy. You like put things on an SD card, you connect your thing to your computer, you put the RCM jig in the fucking Joy-Con, you slide it down, and then you boot in recovery mode, and there you go.
Oh, sweet. Easy. Yeah, nothing really is as easy as the 3DS anymore, so it's like...
the 3DS, like... I think, like if you think about how relative it was, like 5 years after the 3DS came out, there was like a genuine risk of bricking that shit with homebrew.
Now it's just like you open the browser. It's so nice. Yeah,
it's like so easy. I needed to have. I'm so lucky I bought the fucking Four Swords Adventures, like remaster on 3DS. Otherwise, I would not have been able to have played Sun and Moon when it came out in America. But it got delayed over here for a week for some fucking reason.
Oh no!
And but like with the Switch, it's like this thing's only been out for like 4 years, and it's so easy to to homebrew.
I'm glad
really
there's
great.
an active scene, and also that like said active scene of developers like have a huge crossover with Pokemon data miners, who are always just like the most reliable people to get information from.
Sayaz is like the guy that is, he made Atmosphere, which is like the biggest like bootloader or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I'm looking forward to perusing his data mines because they're always organized so nicely.
Yeah, no,
That's the shit I love with the new games. Just like poking through the learn sets and seeing what kind of new stuff everything gets.
Yeah, it's funny because like because the game will always leak like 2 weeks early. Like the thing with BDSP, we're talking about it now, recording this on the 20th, but it's gonna come out realistically. Like all the information is gonna come out on it, and like by the 4th. Like I'm honestly like hard prediction the 6th is when it leaks.
The 6th? Okay.
Yeah, that's my hard prediction.
I'm holding you to that. I'm gonna yell at you on Twitter if you're wrong.
Yeah, no, exactly. You should yell at me on Twitter because Lord knows I don't get enough of that. Speaking of that, by the way, while we were just doing this, like somebody said that I was annoying on Twitter, and I noticed they followed me. It's like, why? Why are you here? What's wrong with you?
I don't understand the ways in which people use Twitter. If someone annoys me, I just block them. You just block them on site. It's so easy to do it.
It's like I don't want to alienate random people, so the best idea is to just mute them. So they are just talking to a brick wall, and then they get bored and they get tired, and then they're just out. And I don't even have to think about them. They can't tweet like, "Oh, haha, he blocked me." It's like, well, you just don't exist, guy. Like, what are you doing?
It's the annoying guy go away button.
Yeah, no, it's like, and they don't even know it, which is the best part.
All right, well, we've gone for an hour, so I guess that's probably a good time to wrap it up. You want to plug anything before we close out?
Yeah, I made a new video that nobody is watching, so go watch that. It's great.
I have watched it, and so I will say that it is a very good video about is the Gacha music video, which came out last year, featuring a song by Bump of Chicken. What was the song titled again? Gravity?
It was Acacia.
But yeah, no, it's a deep dive into all the animators that are featured on it, and also shows like screens of their other work. And I thought it was really in depth, and it's the kind of stuff that like it almost makes me feel stupid when I'm watching it because I'm like, I don't fucking notice this shit. But that's like, that's the best YouTube content, is the stuff where you're like, I don't have no idea what you're talking about, and then by the end of the video, you know what they're talking about.
And I enjoyed it, And
you enjoyed it. Because like people make fun of the Panencock 0.5 A presses watch for Rolling Rocks video a lot, but at the end of that video I understand everything he just told me, and so that's how you know good YouTube content right there. So yeah,
it's a good ass video.
I'll retweet the video again probably when I post the episode. I don't have that many followers, but any more people that can see it is good, because Pokemon animation is in a very interesting place right now between the Gacha music video, between the Poketunes, and between the fact that they just keep making like these like generation by generation retrospective videos, because like they just did that and then they're just doing it again.
Wait, doesn't Evolutions come out tomorrow?
Oh, it might.
Wait, hold on, let me double check. Yeah, so it's tomorrow.
Oh wow.
We get
okay.
The Unova episode.
Realistically, yesterday by the time I post this, because I don't edit quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you aren't watching the Pokemon Evolutions videos on YouTube, I would highly recommend them, and I would also highly recommend the Poketunes, which are posted on the YouTube, the Pokemon Kids TV channel, and are just completely ignored by the English versions of the Pokemon Company for reasons that I do not understand.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. They are so good. They are gorgeous. Consistently.
I would especially recommend like people with the same aesthetic sensibilities as me to watch the Gengar one, because like every character design in that episode, including just like the characters of the Pokemon themselves, are all just beautiful. I really love the way that animation looks.
No, it looks great, honestly.
All right, and where can people find you online?
People can find me Lutu, and that's it.
There you go.
If you type in Lutu anywhere, I will come up. So
gotta love when you get a good username like that.
Yeah.
So that's YouTube and Twitter primarily, right?
YouTube, Twitter. I have a Discord where I talk with people. I have my website where I have everything that I ever worked on. And it's a
I should actually check out your Discord. I'm gonna go join that right after we're done recording.
Let's go.
All right. So thank you for coming. Next episode will probably be after BDSP drops, unless I think of a topic that I'd like to have someone on for, because, this podcast is a very much, when I feel like a discussion type thing and less of a news type thing. News is too exhausting to do in a podcast format where I have to edit too quick.
I think that's absolutely fair.
Takes are for Twitter.
Yeah.
This is a good spot for discussions. Anyway, thank you for coming, and thank you everyone for listening. You can find the show on Twitter at E4Restore, and really that's the only place that is active. You can also find me on Twitter at MattGCN, and on Tumblr at Trimampoline, where I will post my Pokemon takes all the live long day. Have a good one.